Greetings, I'm Rob Chapman and welcome to 10 chords that you absolutely need to know if you are a beginner or in fact if you are any kind of guitar player at all. And I'm not just going to teach you 10 chord shapes, that would be way too easy. I'm actually going to teach you how to combine them to write music, to write songs, whether you are a singer-songwriter, acoustic guitarist and singer, or whether you're in a metal band or reggae band, any kind of music. I'm teaching you the foundational bedrock of how to write music. It's going to be really cool. And what I'd like you to do is treat this video like it's a resource. So for example, you might get bored after 2 of the chord shapes, want to go home, have a coffee or a beer and just try and focus on learning these shapes. Totally cool. Come back, learn the rest of the shapes. Treat it like a resource. So there is this thing that we call the chord scale. And the chord scale is a combination of all of the chords in a key. Don't worry, I'm not going to teach you loads of theory. I'm keeping this super, super ultra easy to make it fun and to make it a creative tool. But this chord scale is what I'm going to give you. Giving you the keys to the Lamborghini of writing music. And we're going to be working in the key of C. Let's start by giving you some tuning notes. It might be easy for you to tune to the sound of each string that I give you, but alternatively you can always pause here and use whatever tuning device you happen to have. Here is my E string. Here's an A string. Here's a D. Here's a G string. Here is a B string. Here is another E. Vibrating twice as fast as the original E. That's an octave. So, our first chord is C major. It sounds like this. And you can see in the close-up how this is constructed. It's third finger on the 3rd fret A string, second finger on the 2nd fret D string, and first finger on the 1st fret B string. It's easy to remember because you've got 3rd finger on the 3rd fret, 2nd finger on the 2nd fret, and 1st finger on the 1st fret. And we're only using A, D, and the B string. It's really important for you to memorize the names of the strings. E, A, D, G, B, and E. Imagine it's a word. E-a-d-g-b. E-a-d-g-b. So that's chord number 1. Some people find that very difficult to play because you need a specific kind of hand position with the wrist to enable the fingers to fall onto the fretboard easily. So I'm going to give you a second B-side shape to use just in case you find this shape difficult. This is all about enabling you, not about creating a challenge. So here is another shape of the same chord with a different configuration of the notes. Still a C major chord. So it goes 2nd finger, 3rd fret A string, 1st finger, D string, 2nd fret, and then the little finger and the 3rd finger both go on the 3rd fret B and E string. Here's the chord. So view this as kind of a C major just made a different way. There are lots of ways of making each chord. Here's another one. Again, it's a C major chord. But we're going to stick with this first shape to begin with. Now then, moving along our chord scale. Scale just means ladder. It's a sequence of chords that get you from one part of a scale to the end of a scale. In this instance, it is the C major scale, which would sound like this. But for each of those notes, we're going to play a chord. So after C, in the alphabet comes D. In this instance, we're going to play what we call a D minor chord. So the D minor chord looks like this and sounds like this. It is constructed with the 2nd finger on the G string 2nd fret, third finger on the 3rd fret B string, first finger on the 1st fret E string, but we're also incorporating an open string, which means the string is free to resonate from the nut to the bridge saddle. I'm using the 3rd string down, our D string. Above your open string are a number of strings, namely the E and the A, that are not being touched. They're left open, but I'm not playing them. I'm only playing from the D string down, these strings only. Very important, otherwise you're going to get horrible sound like this. Unless, of course, that is exactly what you were after. And what I would do is use the underside of my right hand to rest on top of the top 2 strings to mute them, and then you are free to play them with the rest of your hand. Now, this is a minor chord, and what that means is that it has a melancholy feel. It feels sad, a bit down. They're really nice, romantic sounding chords. But we could make it major, so I'm going to give you another version of this chord, but in this instance it will be a major version of the chord. We're going to change the fingering. So all we're going to do is take my 2nd finger off and put it on the 2nd fret on the E string. Take my 1st finger off and put it on the 2nd fret of the G string and still play from the D string down. Really great to have a couple of chords that you can change quickly and effectively, and I would practice changing between them as a drill. So start with the minor chord, take both the fingers off, swap them over and place them down. Let me give you a close-up of how that is played, starting from the minor chord. So we're 2 chords in, and I've given you variants of each one, so you're doing great so far. If you are an absolute beginner, take a break, go and have a drink, order some fish and chips or whatever you do in your country, and absorb it, because it's going to be a lot. Take it in. Don't forget, at the end of this, I'm going to teach you how to write music using these chords. This is the Holy Grail. It'll do all sorts of wonderful things for you. So after D in the alphabet comes E. So this is an E minor chord. It is the most metal of all chords ever created, because you literally use this sign. These 2 fingers, you put them on the A and the D string at the 2nd fret. So you can still do the metal symbol and play it like this. For this chord, I am strumming all of the strings. The E string is open, and then it's the 2nd fret on the A string, 2nd fret on the D string, and then the rest of the strings are all open. Now, I am opening my hand to give you as much visibility on the fingertips as possible, but I wouldn't normally make this hand shape when I'm playing this chord. I would cover the strings and keep my hand comfortable, so don't feel like you have to do this. I'm just giving you visibility. So this is E minor, but it could be E major. Let's make it E major. It's really, really easy. You take your 1st finger, the one I'm wiggling, and you put it on the 1st fret on the G string. I'll give you a close-up. So from E minor to E major. It's actually quite a bluesy thing to play between major and minor. All I'm doing is going from minor to major. After E, we got F. A lot of beginners stumble at the F chord and they say, this is really hard, I can't do it, it involves a bar with a finger. So I'm going to give you 2 options. One of them is the standard full fat, red-blooded F, and then one of them is not a cheat version, but an option 2, a B-side, if you will. So you take a bar, 1st finger, and the trick here is not to use the front of the finger, which has lots of creases, but to use the side of the finger, which is much flatter, and I will give you a close-up. You bar at the first fret, and then you do the same shape as the E major shape after your bar, and it sounds like this. You will only be able to do this if you drop your thumb down the back of the neck, put it relative to where your first finger is, and drop your wrist. If your wrist is flat, you'll find it really hard. Drop the wrist and you'll find it much easier and more ergonomic. It'll fit to the body. As my thumb comes down the back of the neck, then I can put my first finger across and make a bar. Then second finger on the second fret G string, and then my third finger and little finger, third fret on the A and the D strings. But look at my wrist. This is really key. If your wrist isn't sunk down, you'll never be able to play this chord the way that this is. If I remove the bar and bring this shape back, it's E major. All I have done is use the different fingering pattern to make E major. F another way, an easier way. We're just going to ignore the first F note on the E string first fret and play from the A string down. So the fingering is like this. Please note, I'm using my thumb to just gently touch this E string, but not fret it down, so it's muted. It would go if I was to play it. It means that I can really strum it and just ignore this string altogether. It's being muted by my thumb. So here's how this chord looks up close. Third finger, third fret, A string. Little finger right underneath it at the third fret on the D string. Second fret, G string. And the first finger just plays both of these strings at the bottom, the B and the E, at the first fret. And the thumb just touches the E string. You can actually move this any way you want, and it will make a major chord. Moving on to G. G is such an easy chord to play. This is kind of the relief when beginners get to F. They go, this is awful, I'm never playing guitar again. And then they get to G and they go, well, maybe it's not that difficult after all. So G, we start with our swearing finger, put it on the third fret on the E string, first finger, second fret on the A string, and then the last two fingers on the third fret, B and E. This is a little bit like our second version of a C chord. Second finger on the third fret E string, first finger, second fret A string, and these two fingers go on the third fret together, B string and E string. If I take these two fingers off and down a string, now it's that C chord. Bring them back up, now it's the G chord. Next chord is A minor. Again, a sad, soulful, melancholic, romantic chord. This chord is really cool because it's almost exactly like E major, but all of your fingers go down one string. So we'll build it with the A string being open, second finger, second fret, D string, third finger, second fret, G string, first finger on the B string, play from the A string down. If I bring them all up one string, it's E major. Last chord. This chord is really fun to play. You probably will not be using this chord a lot, but it's really important to learn it in sequence. This is a B half diminished chord. It's a minor 7 flat 5 chord. You can just call it B half dim. That will do. And it sounds like this. As a scale, it would sound like this. It's the sound of intrigue. So what a lot of people do is they substitute this chord, they kind of forget about it and instead play just a minor chord, which I will also show you. But to start with, here is the B half diminished. chord. Here's how it looks close up. First finger, 2nd fret A string, 2nd finger, 2nd fret G string, and then my 3rd finger, 3rd fret D string, little finger, 3rd fret B string, and I'm only plucking the strings that I have a finger on. You can move this chord. A lot of people will substitute this chord for just a regular minor chord. Here's how you would do that. You take that A minor shape, but I'm only going to play it with these 3 fingers, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. I shift it along. So if this is A sharp, B, and then I put a bar in front of it. So from that diminished sound to a minor sound. That's acceptable to the ear. It's a cheat, it's not in key, but it works musically. Here's a close-up of how that works. So here's that A minor shape that you're probably familiar with by now. I shift it forward 2 frets, 1, 2, and put a bar in front of it. That is a B minor chord, and here was the B diminished. We have C, D, E, F, G, A, and then B. I know it goes C, D, E, F, G, and then it stops alphabeting after basically it goes in a circle. There's a circle that we use in music. So B is the end of the road. You would then just return to C. So the whole chord scale looks and sounds like this. I'll play it to you nice and slow in a close-up. So we start with C major, D minor, E minor, F major, G major, A minor, B half diminished, and then you can go back to C. It doesn't matter which of these chords you use, as long as you use a chord from this sequence in any order, it will always sound correct because it's in key. This is something that is so important to learn when you are studying music, if you want to write music, or if you want to learn other people's music and you want to know where in the song they are, or for example, which other chords might be in a song, because there are patterns that you can study from this that will really help you in all of the kind of music that you do. So it's just C major, D minor, E minor, F major, G major, A minor, B half diminished, C. And I taught you some major versions of the minor chords that were useful. So here's the D major chord. Here's the E major chord. I'll give you one more cool chord, which is a major version of that A minor. So rather than playing this, we're just going to use one finger. And we're going to put it on the D string 2nd fret. We're also going to cover the G string and the B string with this one finger. Here's a close-up. So this one wiggly first finger goes on the 2nd fret D, covers the G, covers the B, and I'm playing the A string down on these 3 strings. So now you are armed to play all kinds of music, to mix the chords around and write things. You've got a bunch of really cool open chords. And my final parting piece of knowledge or information to you that might be useful is if you go and buy a capo and you put it on the 1st fret and play all the same chord shapes, you are in a different key, 1/2 step higher. So you'd be in the key of C sharp. If you go forward and put your capo 1 fret higher, you're in the key of D. Placing the capo, but playing the same shapes, will change the key for you. And you can use exactly the same chord shapes, which is why so many singer-songwriters will use a capo to change the key between C, D, E, and eventually use things like open tunings and drop tunings. Hope that's been useful. Please dip in and out of this video at various points that are more useful for you than others, because of course you might know some of these chord shapes already. And in the comments section below, please tell me if this was useful for you. Take it easy. Chappers out.